Guys, how you doing? This is Heka, and today's video is about whales. Um, Basically, the term whales is actually a type of a person who spends a big sizable money into a game, to a single game. So the reason I'm talking about this is because I got so curious to who the fuck are these people, man? What do they do? Of course, many of the things that I have studied, and I have studied for quite a while, tend to be players who has a parent who has a large amount of money who listens to their kids. But I never got quite so deep to it because players tend to get very aggressive against this kind of discussion, especially in the forum. Now, one time in the forum back in the days, I said you can go ahead and you can come with an alt and give your reason. You don't have to come with your main character or stuff like that if you don't want to be ridiculed or stuff like that, or if you feel like you're going to be ridiculed or stuff like that. But come with the alt and give me a reason why. Because when you play a game, there are different types of why people play a game. And here's the stuff. I've been studying why people play a game by a study of psychology, because to understand a person's mind, it is very helpful for a situation in games. Same things like, for example, in marketing, you will study a partial of an understanding of psychology to understand the mind of those I was about to say human people out there, those consumer, so you'll be able to sell your product better if you know how they're thinking. The same thing when in the game is that I study why players play the game. And here, I'll give you a couple of reasons for it. I give it. This is just a couple, but I have a list way down. I just can't freaking find it in a bunch of like 32 gigabyte of files of information that I can't even find that specific one. So I don't even know what I named it, but here's how we're gonna go about it. The first thing I put, it was for enjoyment. Obviously, when you play a game for enjoyment, there's socialism, such as getting to talk to people, getting a service of talking to people and stuff like that. To be a dick, same as wrecking, destroying, or causing harm to someone. There are people out there like that who plays for that game. Other people really thought that the only way that people play the game is because they want to have fun. No, actually, if you go really in depth to it, there's way more reason depending on the situation, the current situation that a person is living. Same thing goes for the VIP players who spend a lot of money in the game, but it's quite hard to narrow it down, because I could say the same thing that I heard. It could be a kid with the parents a bunch of money and stuff like that, or it could be a no life or something like that, doing prostitutes, some shit like that, and then they're getting all that money and putting it in the game. I actually found 3 of these. In my whole entire life of playing the game. Then there's other players who are very successful in their life, and and they pay a lot of money. And to be honest with you, a lot of these players are players who play a lot in the game, like a lot of hours into the game. So then when I see something like that, VIP players very high, who spend a bunch of money into the game and they're playing a lot of time in the game, it makes me wonder, are they doing what I do when I work online here and there, or I take a part-time job outside and stuff like that? Are they doing this? Are they studying something big and then they're using these ideas to make money through a online system? What are they doing? Because I do get curious when it's something like that, because most of the time when you do something like that, you want to actually do the same thing. That almost sounded almost sounded like an answer, but it made sense. So basically, if the person's doing this and this and this, I also want to do this and this and this, and want to be able to spend this kind of amount of money, because it is not something that something that worked for a week or 2 weeks, something like that, and it takes so much out of me. Like, $200 could take out of me. I can spend it, I can get it back, but the thing is, it is still 200 big to someone who is rich. That thing could be like pennies, like the gates and stuff like that. They like pennies in the floor. So here's another one. To be someone else. There's players who don't like to be themselves, stuff like that, and realize they want to experience how to be someone else. So they come into the game and they fake their identity to someone else. Which basically get to the story where I'm rich, I have a woman, I have a wife, and all that. That kind of thing. For validation. Now, the thing is, people in real life want to validate themselves, so they do it through the game because they couldn't do it through the life. Like, they couldn't be maybe successful or stuff like that, or be somebody really big. But in the game you can validate yourself by that, by being the best in the game, and then you get like population stuff like that. Like if you look at the video Aurora Kingdom, my old ass video, I made one of the best guide for Aurora Kingdom, and I was known as a legendary stuff. When I make guides like these, I do get to be like known by the people, by the community, as one with intelligence, one with genius thoughts, or like very hardworking, or extremely smart tactical ways of fighting and stuff like that. Like I get that throughout the games that I have been playing. The ones that require skills, not the one that you just press a button and go around. Unless it's a strategy that they need to be input in there, then it'll be all alone through the strategy. Now that right there is kind of like a validation, because you can validate yourself saying that I am the best in this one, and that one gives you the next type of. I didn't put it here because I should have put it here, but basically, validation can give you empower. And then and having these kind of empower gives you this kind of excitement that you're doing something awesome in a game and in real life. So through validation, this is another reason why people actually play a game. Now, to escape the world, whether it's boring or cruel, there's things stressful in the world, and you just play a game just to get out of it. You can play, like, I can play PlanetSide 2. I played Warcraft back in the days, and I play a bunch of games like I'll Be Online and stuff like that that took me out of the world, brought me into a fun environment, and then obviously I have to return back to the fucking world. But through that, I felt great. I felt awesome being in this world than in the real world. And that has happened to me in the past life, so I can actually connect to that. Then there is self-esteem boost, which is the same as empowerment. Basically, this comes into category of self-achievement through the games. That's like, if you look at one of the video for Aurora Kingdom, you look at like the Lament Run. I was one of the first one to killed solo and Lament Run, which was quite impossible, especially on the gear that I had. And when I am able to use skills of when to use my invincibility, such as a dash dust raid or something like that, that dashes through it, it makes me a little bit invincible, but you have to know when to hit it. Otherwise, you're still gonna get hit, which basically you have to calculate the lag and the latency. Just like if you look at my previous Dirty Bomb, I had to control the lag and the latency with the video that I'm recording to actually become like a little bit better in the game. Otherwise, when I take the video down, I have to adjust myself to my shooting and the lag, if there is any. So self-boostment just gives you a type of achievement, type of excitement to play the game more and stay in the game. Self-achievement, wrecking someone, or which is over here usually the same thing as wrecking, but wrecking someone, such as I beat this person, and not in a bad way, but I beat him and I feel good about myself, But I like, in the battle to battle, like in World of Warcraft, I kill someone and then I'm like, I feel good, I beat him. He was really hard to play. Very good game. Not in the way that I fucked you up, man. Only reload, wrecked. Nothing like that. Or helping someone, which basically helping other person gives you that satisfaction of helping yourself with satisfaction. So, if I play someone in the game, they're like, oh man, thank you, you're a lifesaver, and stuff like that. You feel good that you actually help someone. So these things allow you to play the game. And for the storyline. And to be honest with you, I am the least of these. Unless its storyline is really, 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 really good, I am the least of these. I play the game and I start clicking like that and just get to the highest level. But let me tell you something. There's players who actually play for the storyline only. They don't care about being the best or anything like that. And when it comes to a quiz about the storyline in the game, all these motherfuckers, including myself, don't know shit. And you have to go online to try to see if somebody posted things about the game. While these people will wreck the living crap out of you in that quiz. They will know everything from inside out. This is one of the why some of us would like to have these kind of people in the guild, in the big guild, such as what was it? Rohan Online? Yeah, it was Rohan Online that I was playing, and basically we had one person giving us all the answers. And man, was he popular? Trust me, he wasn't the strongest. He was kind of like crappy and everything, but he was so smart in the game because of the knowledge that he gained through reading the storyline. We put him almost close to being a king, and we gained a lot of great stuff, a lot of powerful stuff for us players who are hardcore. So this is partial the reason why I'm gonna take that out, because I do have a big list in the game. While I'm doing that, I'm actually going to get to do my dailies as well while I'm doing this. Oh, yes, perfect. Um, and that's AFK. And here we're going to go into. I'm also uploading this one right here, which is supposed to be the first charge. Um, and here's some of the reasons that I can tell you if you go back to the notes that I already have. Just remember to put that out in there or screenshot it and put it somewhere so you can see what I'm talking about. This is called why do people play games and stuff like this. I'll answer the question. I play video games for the pleasure of interacting with something crafted by someone else. So interaction is one of the word for which is kind of like socialism when you go when you get to this point on the bottom for learning rules and bending those rules. I play video games while tolerating stories I usually don't care about. I'm definitely high five. And for occasional thrill of touring a virtual place, I play the game more for my own sense of achievement. See, and adventure. Because to a fault, I neglected the joy of playing games with others, something I want to do more. I play games to have conversation, socialism, with a game designer, his or her ideas, and instructor dialogue with my hand. I play games because it is exciting to engage with a raw art form. That feels perpetually changing, where very little is done perfectly, and so much is done so much that is done is pioneering. I play games to feel like I am an artistic frontier. Now, here's another things that we're going to go about. I play video game because I did it since I was a kid. That's true. Hobby. It was always hit me with a nostalgia, bringing back to the state of happy mind. Same reason I masturbate. I'm moderately good at it, and it is enjoyable and frustrating until I finish. Help escape the pathetic current state of my life. Escape, like I told you, whether if is stress, cruel, or whatever he wants to put it in there. Pathetic. The reason I call this make new friends, socialism, escapism, which I showed in my list, enjoy wonderful craft stories and creative culture. Nice, mindless fun. Yep, and that's that one. Then we go for the other one in here that says 10 reasons why people, like I said on top, 10 reasons why adults who play video games are happier. They are more contented to their inner child. They have an easy escape, again, from the stress of life. They are exposed to greater creativity and imagination. They immediately have something to bond over with other people. They have more balanced life perspective. They have better hand-eye coordination. They can include their spouse, friends, in their me time. They always have something to look forward to. They can turn exercise into a game. They can turn boring situation into fun ones. So that's it. They have a bunch of reasons why people play game. Again, why do people, especially men, like video games? Mirror neuron and saving the world. Our brain contains nerve cells that are called mirror neuron. Those cells allow us to put ourselves in someone's shoes and experience his emotion. When we play video game, we experience the same emotion the hero where our controller experience. Now, this is more of a unless you're playing a game for storyline that has a huge storyline. If you play Warcraft and the story is about you, then that's a different case. I think Guilds of War had that, but mostly like Final Fantasy X. I swear to goodness, like I played Final Fantasy X to X2, and I lived in that world. Screw the fucking real world, man. That was my world. I made Titus. I am Titus, I made him so powerful. And though in the storyline he was going a little bit for Yuna, I was heading more, to the Riku side, where she's the one who threw me the blitz ball and everything, and she's the one that I like the most. Hell, she's probably my what they call this since I was like 15 years old. My hidden crush as a anime. It would have to be Riku from Final Fantasy X. Both X and X2. Problem solving and self-esteem boost. Most games contain certain puzzles that gives people the self-esteem boost. When they solve them, even game that contains no puzzle makes people feel good about themselves as they master them. Defeating all human players in Call of Duty can make you feel superior to others and elevate your self-esteem. Same thing in game. When it could even be used for VIP. When you kill all these people, you feel empowered, you feel strong, you feel like you're the leader of everything, and your self-esteem grows with it. Like if you look at one of the previous video, you'll see, like for example, In here, since Zach was there before, yes, and here he's still playing. Okay, I'm gonna sneeze so you guys can see it. This is the sign of a king. I don't really give a fuck about being a king, but there's players who pay a lot of money in the game, wants to be king, wants to be the dictator, wants to be the top creator. Me, one of the videos I say, how did I change that? Because I'd rather be one of the low ones and stuff like that. But the reason we won in there is because I was all the way around just killing everything, and I became top first, and the highest BR was pronounced king, was me. So this is the king. Everybody who comes here and see this sign, they're the king. Um, so in that way, looking back into here, they'll feel of a self-esteem boost because of the way they actually kill the player and feel like they're on top of everything, on top of the world. However, there's something right here that I wanted to talk about. Is most games contain certain puzzles that gives people the self-esteem boost when they solve them. They should have stuff like that in. If you play the game for PlayStation, play Onimusha. It was only yeah. It was Onimusha. Play all the Onimusha for PlayStation to PlayStation 2 and all that stuff. Played all of them. And you'll find these fucking puzzles and in all of the games in there that when you solve them, you do feel empowerment. I felt so empowered, so genius onto it because it was possible with the line, the little line connecting to the other line and stuff like that. Have a certain like 5 or 6 moves to connect it, and you can spend like hours just to freaking connect that baby. And when you do, you're like, yeah, I'm. So that's one of the reason why people coming back into the game. This is more the puzzle is more of a video, more like a console games than an MMO. Stress relief. Life is full of stress, event, and one of the best things a person can do is defeat stress is to escape into another world, like I said, for a few hours. Same thing like playing in the planet side with your friends and just only living crap out of people. And when you come back to the world, obviously you're going to remember a thing, but you feel better when if you leave the game without stress, which is why you always want to find a game that has no stress and just fun for you. But like I said in the bottom, it's escape of the world. It has everything. Dopamine rush. Our brain doesn't seem to care about the kind of things we get addicted to, as long as it provides enough dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical responsible for the excitement we feel when we chase a reward. Many people get addicted to the amount of dopamine video games allow them to experience. See also why masturbation lowers self-esteem. What? Why masturbation lowers self-esteem? Okay, I'm actually gonna check that. Hey, I'm a guy. Everybody masturbates, but I'm about to put that there. Okay. Weird things, weird conversation aside. Same thing with me. I was the best in the Dragon Blight server when I played World of Warcraft. When I achieve a type of gear, we all achieve a type of achievement, which is like a title, like a mount, like a dragon, and a type of gear that came to me, and I was top scorer all the time. Then I felt, dopamine rush like crazy because I can't wait for the next freaking dungeon raid that'll come in next week, and I am preparing myself. I'm bringing food, I'm bringing gems, I'm bringing everything that I need to kill the living crap of that and get another one, get another gear, so I can be like so powerful, all heroic 25 men and stuff like that. So that's another reason right there. Running away. Some people get addicted to video game just because they are too afraid to face the real world. A lonesome teen might get himself indulged within video game just because he is unable to face the fact that he can't socialize like his friends. Many people use video games to run away from mess in the real life, and this is fucking true. I met a girl who we technically it's a virtual date and stuff like that. We went out, we watched a movie like through Skype and stuff like that. I had a couple of days like that, and I have a bunch of days when they actually moved with me into my house. But those who were in the Skype call and stuff like that, they can talk to you just fine, just as long as you don't put the video. But they want you to put your video on. But they talk to you fine through voice. But once they come to you in real life, holy fucking shit, they can't even talk. They can't Hell, they can't even hug you or anything. You know, you feel so happy to see them, and they hardly even hug you. They can't interact with you normally. They have to get accustomed to you, and it's hard for them to socialize with you. And this is freaking true because I met so many people who are so easy to talk to in game, but when they come to, like, hey, you live in New York. That's awesome. I live in here in XXXX, where I'm not going to tell you where I live. We can meet up and stuff like that. Well, maybe it took me like a fucking 3 months to get the person to come here to play Laser Planet with me, and to interact and going through the mall and stuff like that. Having fun. The guy things and stuff like that. And when he came, he was ah. I'm like, dude, you used to talk to me so easily in the fucking game. The hell is wrong with you right now? Come on, man, speak up. Like, do you want me to put a mask or something? Should I put a bag over your head and then we'll talk? You're able to talk. I'm telling you, this is so freaking true. This right here is so freaking true. So freaking true. Regain control. Many people who feel that they lose control over their lives seek other areas where they can gain some of that lose control. A controlling person might have became that way just because they feel that he lacks control over his life. Because the environment of a video game is highly controllable, a person who seeks to regain a lost control then can easily become a video game addict. And that's true, can go for the VIP. So here is another reason that addicts on top. So I know these, but I don't know. It doesn't come from their mouth. It does come from somebody else who knows about it, but I still like it when a person, the person himself, tells me to my face, or to write it to me. And this is very true about the controlling of life, about your life. You may not have control of your life, but if you play Second Life, just type Second Life Google and look at it. That's a self promoted game by economy, was it? Self economy game or something like that. I don't know how to say it in English. But basically, it's running by the players, and players do have control of their life in there. They have a business, everything. They're very successful and stuff like that. And hell, they can sell all that business for real money. And I'm gonna show you something in here, which is true, very true. Somebody did it for Antripia, which was a game that you get a bunch of kerosene, you can sell it for real, get money, real life money for it. Redemption. When people fail to live up to their dreams, like their goals and stuff like that, they would have become in real life, they might escape to fantasy world where they can get another chance to fulfill them. For example, the guy who always wanted to be the hero but failed to do it can find a great relief in a video game since they allow him to relive his dream. Relive. Yeah, sorry, I must have my eyes saw it differently. His dream. See also how to fulfill your dreams. Oh man, he definitely wants to sell the books, huh? So whether man gains more than woman, study have found that the areas in the brain responsible for the reward and addiction got more activated when men play video games than when women did. Oh well, that's obvious. Unlike women, no offense, women's. Unlike women, men are hardwired to be hunters, conquerors, fighters, and that's why they experience more excitement when they play a video game. In addition, women are more wired to seek social connection when they feel stressed. And oh my fucking gosh, is that so true? I had a fight with a woman one-to-one that I had to explain why people play video game, especially for the men. And for the woman, I say socialism, but she got a little bit offended by that. Yet she admitted that it was, she played it for socialism, but didn't like the stereotype of thinking like that. And I had such a big argument back to back. A woman might feel better when she talks to a friend than when she plays a video game. Men, on the other hand, cope with stressful day by playing a video game. And that's very true. I've seen many of the girls that I definitely went out with who play more of a talking while killing me and stuff like that, and have this kind of connection and conversation in the game than actually playing to be very powerful. Like they told me, oh, we don't care about being very powerful and stuff like that. Now I haven't actually found one girl at the moment who plays to be very powerful, to be honest with you. But still looking. Video game can be very good for you, but provide that understanding the real reason that motivates you to spend hours on them. And there's a bunch of things in here. Going back to here, I gotta make sure that everything is good. Hey, final. Is this not done? Processing. I'll go ahead and press processing because it's pretty much done, and all I have to do is close it while I make this one in here. Why do people play video games? Here's the same thing. It's going to tell you the same thing, you know. There's people who just don't want you to know to get more in depth. See, this person, we need to go deeper to why it's fun. But there's player who doesn't want to get more in depth. However, I want to go through the why spend money. People who spend way too much money on the video games. I have to admit, I have no idea why anyone would spend money on a virtual good. To me, I need my money to go to something tangible, like real swords or house or food, as swords, damn boy, as opposed to things for a character in games. So when I heard about that guy that spent 100,000 in real cold hard cash for virtual asteroids, I was floored. It turned out it was a spectacular investment, not like these games. Investment on his part though, which was Entropia. John Jacobs, who I assume is some sort of Hotward's huge eccentric millionaire, took his newly acquired piece of land and changed it into a pleasurable island of sort of the rest of the Entropia's universe. And you can actually Google Entropia. Just fucking Google that place, because I played it, but I didn't get to be like this person. The MMO where all this take place to enjoy. Entropia is different from other MMO. In fact, that instead of putting in real money for fake goods to make fake money, one can actually make a real living off a good bought by other users of the game. Jacob was able to make almost $200,000 per year at his club Never Die by charging entry fees and building a virtual mall where people can shop and socialize, even go hunting, and especially girls will go in there and socialize. Another game for this one is Second Life. Just type Second Life in Google or in YouTube and watch what I'm actually speaking about. And the thing is about Second Life is that you can do everything in Second Life, even the the adult industry. You can go in there and okay. With Club Never Died thriving, and I did want to Second Life and did that. Because it's a game I actually did. Okay, let me get off this. It was a surprise to many when Jacob decided to sell it off in pieces. Though there were many buyers, the single largest purchase came from John Fulmont Cullen, who, if I'm spelling everything wrong, please, I'm sorry, who bought the main section of the asteroid for a whopping $335,000. This beat the previous $300,000 record set by the sale of a Crystal Palace station. When all was said and done, John Jacobs was able to sell the whole property for a staggering $635,000, a $530,000 profit, not including the income he made over the course of his 5 years of ownership. Holy fucking shit! This is what other games to make money feels like, you know. See, that's endorphin, or you know, getting too addicted to that kind of stuff. I have to check this. I'm sorry. 12 minutes. And that's this. You know, you can watch the video, which you know what? I'm definitely gonna watch the video. Gonna favorite exclusive interview with the man who spent $30,000 on a single game. The whales that carry the game industry on their shoulder. You may have heard of so-called whales in the free-to-play or free-to-pay F2P F2P gaming industry. Even though I am not a fan of this term, and is representative of hardcore players that spend a sizable amount of money in a game, as opposed to dolphins, minnows, and freeloaders. I think of a dolphin. Who spend significantly less money. Most game I'm sorry. This is just so funny to read that. Most gaming companies depend on these whales to stay alive. And they try to design specifically for them, especially browser games. Some heavy gamers spend thousands or even $10,000 on a game. When I was doing research on the game Battle Camp, I was amazed when I saw some players spend $6,000 just on one weekly competition, not for an external reward, but just to win 2 legendary monsters that helps them play the game better. Have you ever wondered who are these heavy spenders? Yes. And what goes on their head? Yes. Are they just filthy rich millionaire who doesn't don't care about money? Or are they so into the game that they're willing to lose their livelihood just to obtain more of those 8-core drive we so desperately need in our life? Are they illusional and think that proud achievement is game are more important than the real world? Spoiler, in this interview, we will see that this is not the case. How do they feel about spending so much money on a game? Now, however, this is one of the articles that I take into account. Remember, there is different kind of articles out there, but I'm going to go ahead and represent this one. I have read other article where they show that there are this type of case. This right here, this right here. One of the articles shows they're this type of case. However, in this article, I wanted to read it because they said that this is not the case. And then, okay, I want to see what you got. It's different than the other ones that I've ever experienced, so I want to see what you got. Big Jim, the whale, who spent over 30,000 on Wii Heroes. Yeah, I bet you AMZ Games wants this person for a living. When I started doing research on a mobile game, my friend was working on Wii Heroes. I noticed that many hardcore players who were not shy on spending real money in game. On my server, the top players was named Big Jim, and he was setting and breaking all sorts of records in the game. Seeing how he accumulated all expensive heroes in the game, I was very curious about what he would be like in real life. And this is what you expect from players like this. When you go into here, let me see if he says something. Insanity. Okay, when you go over here, these players got the VIP 10 from VIP 5 closed beta, which has the double reward. But when you go into like arena and you go here, you have VIP 10, and this is what they talk about. See what they say about all these red, powerful, extremely heroes and stuff like that. He's now, wow, he's number 1 now. Emilia was now number 1. Was Ronkar? Now Emilia is number 1. Here comes the other guy, VIP 11. We're about to tell you about that because there's no, I don't remember him being VIP 11. I think it was VIP 10, and I think he just went ahead and spent thousands of dollars. VIP 10 right here. I don't talk about this guy because I still think he's scripting. He was VIP 4. He got 4 red heroes. It was impossible. Look at my scripty Jesse Anderson's channel and look for that video. Kansung is another VIP 8. This is actually an admin, could be getting money through the, voluntary work, which would never, most of them never admit it. But I already played with, I already been a GM and XMod, and I have been an assistant for a private server, and I have a certificate that actually gets real money. But GMs and mods gets currency from the in-game, like at least $20 worth or $15 a week, depending on what the game actually gives you. So I never looked too much of that. Here's a VIP 7. He only has Darius, Alan, VIP 9, all these, and VIP 6. Not one of the red heroes. VIP 5. And Whaleeess, VIP 3, and me, VIP 5. I have one red hero. Speaking of that, Alan, you're VIP. Oh, you got red heroes. What about you? You don't even got one red hero. You might be more powerful than me, but I'll check that out. Nope, I won. Back to 9th place. Alan, Carissa, Crichton. None of these because they have a bunch of red heroes through different means. But when we go into the VIP, for example, VIP here, we know that what I explained, 500 gold is $5. 500 gold is $5. So in here, if you look very closely, 199, 200 gold, and 500 gold equals $5. So okay, right here. So when you go here, it's actually $1,500, right? Yeah, 1,500. So 1,500, I think, is for this one. VIP 11 is pretty much $3,000, and you get these. You get, I don't know why you get so. I mean, why would you get free heroes over here? But you get Apollo. Nice, that dodge. Holy crap, man! You're never gonna kill that player, and obtain the divine blessing of the angels, increasing the dodge. Yeah, definitely so powerful. But that's not much money. So you have 1,000 in here, 1,500 in here, and $3,000 in here. And these are what is being explained through the conversation here. Um, okay. I then learned that he spent over 30,000 on We Heroes alone, and this wasn't spent over the many years like some League of Legend player do. League of Legends is not pay to win. Since we still Heroes. Since We Heroes just launched in early 2015, the 30,000 must have been spent within a year's time. Below is an exclusive content of what goes through their mind of Whale Heavy Spender and some lesson he wants the world to learn about. Interview between, I'm not going to say that, and Big Jim, a whale spender on We Heroes. Thank you so much for being part of this interview. Can you start off with a quick intro of yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do? Big Jim. My name is Jim. I am 55 years old electrical engineer working in Silicon Valley. How many years have you been playing games for? I've been playing games since I was old enough to roll the die. I played my first war game when I was about 12. It was Blitzkrieg by Avalon Hill. My first MMORPG was Asheron's Call. What are the games that you have considered yourself a hardcore player for? Any game I play to win, which makes me hardcore to most people. Asheron's Call, EverQuest, World of Warcraft, War in Flames, a board game by Australian design group Kingdoms of Camelot, and now We Heroes. There may have been others I've forgotten. In We Heroes, you're often the top players in the game. You're one of the top players in the game. When did you start playing, and how did you achieve the top status? I saw an advertisement for We Hero while playing another game, so I tried it, and I liked it. It was sometimes in early 2015 when Server 12 opened. There wasn't any great strategy involved in becoming top player. All it takes is spending a lot of money. I know you have spent over $20,000 to reach your status. Have you played any other games that you have spent an considerable amount of money? I spent a lot of money on Kingdom of Camelot. Before that, the games I have played cost more time than money. I spent a lot of time in the World of Warcraft, EverQuest, and Asheron's Call. What drove you to become a heavy spender in the We Heroes, as opposed to other games you played? I got sucked into spending a lot of money because I was competing with other players to reach the top, the arena. At first, I was just trying to get into the top 10. Then I got into the top 10 and I thought it wasn't that much further to get to the top 1. Then I got to the top 1 and then I thought I'll get a little cushion to discourage other players from trying to take number 1 from me. I was never able to get the cushion because Flash never quit spending money to keep up with me. Having already spent a lot of money, I wasn't going to give up and let him take number 1 from me, so I just kept spending more money. By the way, cut into short story, that was true in one of the parts when I was VIP 1 and went to VIP 4. However, I stopped spending money and learned other tricks to get more power, such as doing events in the forums and using specific type of techniques to be a VIP 6 during that time. And this is true in every browser game. There's the person who feel empowerment and they don't want to lose that empower. So they will do everything they can to spend all their money to make sure that you don't take what is mine. And that's the truth. Do you consider the game developer unethical for causing you to spend so much money? Why and why not? Trying to get people to spend money is not necessarily unethical. It doesn't have to do it to stay in business. Most of the time I consider it ethical, but there are some exceptions. I consider it unethical to try to sell me something and to not tell me what the price is. Placing an employee mole in a game to compete with the top player would be unethical because the mole will not have to pay to play, and that is so fucking true. We caught one in Night of Fable and he was banned. It was actually a mod. I don't think We Heroes have plays a mole on server 12, but sometimes I wonder where Flash gets the money to keep up with me. Oh shit. You guys know A letter pin my friend about this, and he assures me that Flash is a real player who has actually spent even more money in the game, but was not as skillful as Big Jim. Wait, I hope that's not a browser game because there is no such thing as skills in browser games. Perhaps the game still requires skills over just spending money after all. No. Well, if it, I'll Google We Heroes after this. Even before this interview, my friend would ask me if I have also became friends with Flash on the server 12, since he was very curious about who this other whale was. We Heroes does try to sell me stuff without telling me the price, and I have complained to them about it. In their Wheel of Fortune, they have approximately 18 spots on the wheel which appear to be equal size. That implies that there is an equal chance that the wheel will stop in any one of those spots. Actually, many of the time for the browser games, those wheels are rigged. Such as, for example, if I go to here, I'm going to show you an example. If I go here and I go to Tarvin and I go to Guardian, check how I press this right here. And when I do, look what happens to the wheel inside. I have a chance to get any of the top Bontos, Demeter, and Fentos. All of these, I have a chance. Oh, I was so close to get the meter. Actually, it rolls already for you. You know, this doesn't mean nothing. It rolls for you. As soon as you press enter, this was the hero that you was going to get. And to provide more information about that, you just go right here into the same hero that I had. And you press it for this one, and you go like this. Beep, beep. You click it already. It's already there. It's just designed that way. Just like in a battle for this browser games, when you battle, it's already designed on who is going to win. However, you can press skip to see who win or who doesn't win. The computer does it for you. It calculates every strength. So in here, again, he saw it was equal size. Most of the time, it's not, to be honest with you, because I have opened many things like Lamps of 8 Heroes and stuff like that. I hope it is really lucky, but sometimes it's more rigged to fail than to win. The reality is, one spot has such a small chance to come up that I have never landed on it over 5,000 spin. Each spin costs $1. Excuse me? $5,000? If you advertise that you can win a prize by paying $10 per spin, Big Jim used the 10 spin option, which means it is $10 each. And you allowed it to appear as a chance to win that prize is approximately 1 out of 20, when the real chance is less than 1 out of 1,000, then that is unethical in my opinion, which I agree. Such as, I come here, let me see if there is one. I don't know if there is one or if it's here or not. Hot events, draw, put reset, and there'll be a wheel. I did it on my alt. I spent all 3,000 on my second alt, which was on the Facebook that I had. That I created that same alt, but I created through Facebook to have a second account. And to be honest with you, it never landed on a hero emblem. Let alone that you need like 20 of them to gain the hero. So it's the same way. That's why I never played those wheels type of game. I let them do it. Carbon did the same thing in the Kingdom of Camelot. I don't think this is particular practice is rare. Sorry guys, give me a second. Because I also have the it is in progress. They're not here. They're coming tonight, I guess, so I can skip this. Because they're coming tonight. Okay, back to the game. Cameron did the same thing in the Kingdom at Camelot. I don't think this particular practice is rare. I complained to Cameron about it. I filed a Better Business Bureau complaint against Cameron because of it. I now refuse to play Cameron games because of it. I notice you spend a lot of time to study what enemy guilds do and how to improve your own and allied team to win the together. How much time do you spend on the game every day? It probably takes me an hour to do the crusade twice every day. I probably only spend 2 hours actually playing. When I'm not playing, sometimes I will be thinking about strategies. I also play on the server 11 because I wanted to see if the game was as fun to play for free. It is. Well, congratulations. Browser. This cannot be a browser game because no other game is really that great to play for free. And because I would finish everything I could possibly do quickly on the server 12. I don't play every day and anymore on server 11. If I am busy on the server 12, I neglect server 11. What is your favorite part in We Heroes? And what is your least favorite part? My current least favorite part is the crusade because as a VIP player, I can do it twice a day. I always complete it. I feel I need to do it because I need the gold and occasionally rare items, but it takes a lot of time and it's no longer challenging, which makes it boring hours. Boring hour. My current favorite part is the guild war because I am not guaranteed to win. Wow, really? This must be a good game because if VIP, you're guaranteed to win. I deliberately did not try to form an invisible upper guild with Flash. It is more fun to spread the power players around and have competition. What is the proudest achievement in any game? Being one of the tanks for my raiding guild in World of Warcraft was probably the most difficult thing I have ever did. Really? It's quite easy, to be honest with you. I don't, especially with the add-ons. I don't think of the game achievement as something to be proud of. Games are just a way to pass the time and be entertained. Making the world a better place would be something to be proud of. I try to do that when I'm not playing games. Give a hand of applause to Big Jim because these are rares. I haven't seen any of these, to be honest with you. Most VIP players are usually assholes and dickheads and you know, yeah, they just jerk. What is the best money you have spent in game and what is the worst? The best money would be money that gave me the most fun per dollar. That will probably be the money to spend on games like Civilization because I play the game a lot. Probably Heyday too. World of Warcraft was good value for money when I played it. Yeah, $15 a month. No pay to win. The worst money would be when I spent a lot of money on very little fun per dollar. We Heroes, while fun, has cost an insane amount of money. I should have not. Aren't you supposed to put an N in apostrophe N T? No, don't. Shut up, Dennis. I should not have spent so much money on it. Playing for free on the server 11 has been good. I actually spent $5 there once because I thought I was on server 12, but that is the only money I have spent there. I have played maybe 100 to 200 hours on server 11 for $5. I have played maybe 500 hours on server 12 for maybe $30,000. I try not to count how much I have spent. Server 11 has obviously been better value to me for me. I'm gonna have to for free to play. I'm gonna have to check that game and I'm gonna have to make a video about it because I really want to know if it's all truthful. How do you fund your game? It is through salary, accumulated wealth from past work, family, or I pay with salary and accumulate wealth from past work. If I hadn't spent so much money on Wii Heroes, I would probably be shopping for a new motorcycle. Playing Wii Heroes means that I have one less motorcycle at least in my lifetime. Many families member of the reader feels like readers spend too much time on resources game. What does your family and friends think about your dedication to game? The time I spent in World of Warcraft was a problem for my family. That is true. You lose your life in World of Warcraft. I tend to spend too much time in games. I try to play games now that I don't require much time. Resources aren't the problem for me right now. If you could give a piece of advice to readers who also want to be the top core players in a game like you, what would that be? Set a budget, both time and money, and stick to it. Too much of anything can be bad for you. Don't try to compete with people that spend too much time or money. It isn't worth it. I should put a quotation over here, Flash. If We Heroes team will end up reading this interview, what would you want to tell them? What would you like them to improve in order to make hardcore players like you happier? Selling people items for outrageous price by not telling them the true price will make you money in the short run, but it will slowly turn your core players against you. Other than that, the game is fun, so just don't mess it up. Don't give the hardcore players too much advantage. Keep the game fun for free players. You need the free players so the hardcore players have somebody to beat up on. I'm sorry, but this is so fucking true. But it can't be too easy for the hardcore players. While Night Fable had a really hard time with the hardcore players, let me allow you, I'm pretty sure it got him worse right now, but at one time, I was just a VIP 4 and wasn't too much of an advantage. A VIP 0 could get the same thing as me, so long as he, well, used the ults for that day on the desk server, or practically allow somebody of high power, high caliber of power give you the last kill to get an amount of resources to compete against another guild who has a higher power. But games like these, such as this one, which I explained in the previous video, this one, and even this one, it is impossible. These players, the higher players, will kick your ass. And the money, it is designed for them. Just like it showed at one of the top thing up here, which I'll probably go back again and show you. But I have to go ahead and one, I have to save this because it's a great exclusive thing, and two, I have to screenshot this part because this is so important. I have screenshot many like this, and they're not going to pay attention. Trust me, they're not going to pay attention. Actually, let me screenshot it like this so they can see where it comes from. That it's not like me typing something like that, you know. And then I'll save that later. But basically, I have gathered so much of this because they're great info. These are high players, hardcore players with high money, giving the advice, not me. Beijing, as a lesson to We Heroes team, Kabam was much worse with a random prize and stuff than the We Heroes developers are. Kabam would sell a chest, for example, the Elite Jaguan chess. I would buy 1,000 of them and tell my guild what the odds of the price were so they could make an informed decision. The next time Cabal would sell the Elite Guan chess, the odds would have changed. For example, the odds of getting the best prize might have dropped from 1 to 1 in 100 to 1 in 500. It really made me mad that they would sell the same item and change the odds. There are valid reasons for this. They were depreciating the value of an item and creating better items as time went on to make people keep buying. I would still expect that odds of getting the best prize should stay the same unless they told me they were different. Now the same thing went in here. Some of the beginning spectacular events, which they noticed that people started saving a lot of the chests, which now I don't do it anymore. I don't save chests because of that. Well, technically, right now I'm saving because I really don't give a fuck. But here's a blast chest. Back in the days, there were 3 reds, which I think I showed it one time. There were 3 reds. Now they devalue it to 200 for a purple, a yellow that nobody gives a fuck of, and the red is at the 800. At the 800 epic chest. This is a long time to get. Even for pay to win, it's quite a bit, a lot to get to spend to get these. So they devalue it to make it, you know, harder for you to get the red, especially the free-to-play players, and easier for more of the pay-to-win, but still a lot of more money spent. So this is actually very true. It happens. Devaluing happens in every game, in every fucking game of browsing games. It really made me mad that they would sell the same item and change the odds. There was a valid reason for this. They were I already said that. Another thing about did that upset me was they were constantly offering special deals where for 6 or 8 or 24 hours the odds of winning the best prize were double. Well, what good is it to tell me the chances are double for the next 24 hours when maybe yesterday you cut the chances by 75%, maybe compared to the last time I bought that time item, the chances in only have it as good, even though it is double for the next 24 hours. Want me to show you how an example of doing this, but instead of pricing, let's look at the mount. I got the mount up to here, and I gain about 60,000 enchantment, which I spend it so much on enchanting. Let me go back in here so I can show you enchanting these type of gear, like Saladin would have, the red one, like this one right here. If you go to enchanting and you go for the red ones only. So for example, not this one. Where is the elephant? So the elephant. If I go like this, it would be 15 for this one. 1,800 for this one. 1,200. 1,800, and I did fail a lot too, even with this. So people would like to do super enchant gold because when you fail, you don't lose, and that's 160 gold, and yeah, they go crazy with it. But let me see if I can go with 2,100 for here. Let me go for Richard. See if he has some of the big ones though. So it costs quite a lot. This one being one of the highest at the moment. But I definitely did spend so much enchantment for these ones because you can fail, and then if you fail, it goes up by little bit, then you succeed, then fail, succeed, fail, succeed, fail, succeed, succeed. I spend so much enchanting because I gain so many from here. This right here, I got 2 in the beginning of the game very easily, and there was no notification of any changes in the game. Many of the devs like to just change the amount of a game without telling you, like a percentage of cheating something, like a rare heroes or anything. They like to change that hidden sneak patch, which is what usually people like to call it. So I get an elephant here. Look, I have an elephant, and then I think this horse I got it from the event. Yeah, the horse I got it from the event. And then this is the elephant that I got again from here, from the mount. I never got anything new from the mount. Now I spend from here 80. This was the 80 number. I was going back and forward, and I never got another red one. And I spent everything that comes green, blue, and all that in here. I spent it to the point where it gets to all the enchantment gets to a high amount where I then use them all. And at the same time, I wait 4 hours, and it goes back down so many times. And then I go down. Finally, I reach the red. I have to wait 22 hours. Not 7 hours, 22 hours. I come to the 22 hours, goes back down, and it doesn't give me the red mount. I know they did it. They changed the value of getting the chances of getting these red mounts and made it quite harder. Why? Well, there are quite events that are like this. This is the rare one. Here's the mount. Tame amount. Trade carved and brought goods amount here. Time to tame a powerful mount. How do you tame? Same way. And you keep taming it and try to get that mount. So they devalue it, making you think it's kind of like, it's easier to get. But then when you get there, you never get it. Even worse, when you get here, this costs 1,000 gold. Suckers, whoever actually did that. Which is pretty much $10. Let's go back here. So I'm showing an example, real life example. Let's see. What I want we heroes to do is anytime they have a gambling game and a wheel fortune in gambling, they say what the odds of winning each prize are. What do you think about this interview? As you can see from the above interview, Big Jim is not rich, illusional billionaire. He is a normal guy who loves games, worked hard as an engineering for many years. Well, he has a higher profession, completely different from other players who can be like, they could be working at Lowe's, they could be working at Aldi's and stuff like that. So he isn't rich. At least we know that for this interview only, he isn't rich. I have gone to other interview where they are rich. By rich, it means they own a company and then their boss, they as a boss have smaller bosses who does their work for him, and he only does is check up on them, and then he plays all this time in games. I have met 2 of these, and I have not met anything since. I'm still looking for more so I can find out what they do. One of them is actually a pawn shop worker. So a pawn shop owner. So he gained a lot of money through the pawn shop. But anyway, this is just one of the parts. I have gone through here. Majority of the highest spending mobile game player are successful in their professional life. They're not spending money they don't have. They also skew more to older age in the gaming the population. In game with largest social component class of clans, game of war, habits, the idea of parental patronage is very compelling of how high spending players. These gamers like supporting other players in their alliance and also like to perceive as helping other alliance is very empowering to be seen responsible for allowing a larger group of players to succeed. Now, however, this is not the case for the where I am at, something like that, because I haven't seen actually a player being like that. You know, if I seen a player helping me, for the first time, I'll then ask them a question, what do you do for your life? I take the information from them, but I haven't seen them offering at the moment any kind of that kind of help, And if they do, they're probably going to do it for their guild only and not for the worldwide, helping the community as a whole. High spending players view the amount put into the game as investment, and indeed, when companies bring a free-to-play consultant, a lot of the focus is convincing players that the money they spend is not immediately consumed away, but is something with a long-term worth. If theoretically, when a change the game is made that somehow destroys some of that build-up equity, it can cause high-spending players to immediately leave the game because they believe their investment has been violated. It is incorrect to believe that the high-spending players just throw money into the game without any consideration of return they're getting. This is not 100% like 100% true. That could be 80%, but I know a lot of people who has throw money just because they want to throw it. It is believed somewhat periodically that the more a player spend, the more attuned they are to perceive value. There is always a meta game being fought over dollar value between the user and the free-to-play developers. Now, and the question is something that I saw in here. When you look over here, look what happened. Requesting the full refund of my VIP. After much exchange unannounced, I am requesting the full refund for my VIP 9. As of now, you have nerfed the game in a way that I have paid my money for stats that are gone that I have paid money for. After all this, I have decided to ask for my refund. This will be my first step to this matter. I'm so out of it that I need to. I really want to stop the video. I think this is like an hour. This has been screen captured, and it will be forwarded to whoever needs it. Thank you. Never entering, saying goodbye. I agree. I'm a VIP 8. This is like a scamming paying for something things you don't get. By the way, this is the game that I'm playing. This is Clash of Avatar. That I tried a lot wing upgrade, never got this. I did call my bank when they did not refund. I had to call them, and they will bring my money back from this AMC game. The AMC game better give the VIP refund. I gotta give this. Refund my VIP 5. They're never gonna refund my 5. It's on the TOS. Don't be stupid. Hell, if the guy said it. If you haven't used PayPal for recharging, I will use the back option on that one. Else, I know the answer. You will get. Lol, no refund for TOS. Cheers. That's to turn of service and stuff like that. This way I've been playing since the day of old. So, most of the time I've seen that this person always has an argument with somebody else. I'm not dishing on this person or anything like that. It's just that when there's an argument, he or she is always there as a counter argument. But you can read that. When I did testing of the pay for certain stats, you would understand till luck. This AMC game has done. I am also doing the same as his writer. I have spoken to him. This game has killed himself. Well done, AMC. Blah blah blah, keep going. I stopped over here because I'm reading everything in the forum, both Clash Avatar, Empire, League of Angels, and then I will jump to the other games which I really want to know about this company specifically, so I have more information about this company, because that's what I like to do when I used to be a mod and then a GM. I love to read the whole freaking forum. Actually, you can, if you put it into PayPal, if you recharge using any other payment method, you will get no refund. Okay, of course, watch this. As this person says something that you can, the other person, such as the Game Master, says, "Dear Iron, have you actually played since it changes? It's not bad at things. You bought are here still there. Your wings is so in long run, you will be much better. Stronger. The mounts you had before are still there to upgrade. It's not to give fault if you did it. If you didn't." Rainbow. Eventually, it is not just me taking this action. Many other people are doing this. Even Vader, a VIP 10, is doing it. Now let's actually go back into one of the games right here and see about the VIP 10. I've spent $20. The big advantage is not really that big of a deal. There is no huge advantage. But when you hit VIP 5, things start to get a little hectic, because first of all, you get a good amount of stuff in here, and it's about $60 more than VIP 4, so a total of $80. Going to VIP 6, you gain more power, especially with the kid of sigils and other things that you can do if you spend a diamond, and it's about $200. VIP 7, which if you look in the previous video, one of the players in here, I actually found 3 now. 4, which Tanuki it was in the guild, but I haven't logged in. This is about $500. We'll give you one of the legendary mounts, which is freaking hard to get, and wings upgrade crit chance by 15% more, which is awesome. Then today, about early this morning, which is why I'm making the video, because I wanted to understand more about it, and I want people to understand more about these VIP players. Rage went ahead and went to the last power, VIP 8. He went to his Super Saiyan 3. You know, he's took it up a notch. If you come VIP 10, then he will be Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Which, when you go to the VIP 4 and you go to VIP 10, VIP 8, is about... Why did that happen? Oh, I gained Skywalker. Total recharge is about... That's $1,000, which is basically, he had at 500. He just need to add, no, yeah, $500, and he needs to add 500 more dollars to become VIP A and get the exclusive wings, which you get through here and stuff like that. Get a bunch of other cool stuff in here, like 100 gold and all that stuff. Actually, open to get the reward gold 5,000. There's, wait, what? 100 of them? That's nice. Not too big of a deal. That's pretty nice, but not a big of a deal. Really not big of a deal. Stamina purchase. If you got so many diamonds, more stamina, more power, made us touch, no CD and golden. It's okay. It's all cool, but some of these are very powerful, especially the wings. But that's $1,000 into the game. That sure is an investment, guys. But again, if, like I said in here, most of the players in here are spent $1,000 and they're already saying, I want a refund because they ruined the game for them. And later on, you'll find out that they have ruined the game even more, and that's what most of the browser game does. Trust me. You'll see it, the players keeping and living. Night Fable took a good amount of my life, a good amount of stress, so much stress. And then when it get to the end, it got to the point where I said, I'm done. It's over. There's no reason to fight more. I'll leave my first place. It's done. I can't deal with the stress. I'm going over the top. I could be like psychotic going to the mental house, how much stress the guys of Night Fable put me into. In the beginning it was fun, but later on, it changes. High spending players are also very focused on status. Isn't that obvious? This is a social component, but somewhat different from the desire of patronage. For example, it is well known that a high-spending player will spend more of an item in demonstrably exclusive, and if they have the ability in-game to showcase this possession, free-to-play game design therefore places an emphasis of allowing these display of status to be disseminated, which basically VIP, big wings that you can get, this mount, this awesome mount that you can never get. There's a fairly apt comparison to the casino industry in this regard. In some cases, the highest spending player value their time over their money. Many free-to-play games make such trade directly available. However, I think the design mechanics falling out of favor somewhat. These type of mechanics tends to give short-term gains but fail in the long term. The other three mechanics, patronage, investment, and status, are more robust in the long term. And then this is the last one. Actually, I haven't read this one. This is Chasing the Whale, examining the ethic of free-to-play. And this is probably the last one. Thank goodness. We're getting to the end of the video. This story is being highlighted as one of the Gama Sutra's best stories of 2013. I use a birthday money. If it is a story, let me prepare myself, making sure everything is done. I'm going to prepare myself for this. This guy's still AFKing, so that's good because I need the spirit and the gold, which I probably don't have. Yeah, I don't have the spirit. Okay, still need 500k more for that. And in here, mid-year review party. What? Oh. What? Uh-oh, I'll get into that later. So long as I don't miss the quiz right now. Yeah, the quiz doesn't happen. It happened at the 13th, so I still have an hour. Okay, let's go back. Story time! This is a story being highlighted as one of the Gama Sutra's best story of 2013. Gama Sutra. I use birthday money. I eat cheaper lunch. I ask my wife to pay for dinner, so I have spare 10 to 20 to spend in the store. Which does mean which does mean I get that I was thinking about it even away from the game. Chris was in the mid 20 when he began spending a few dollars here and there on Team Fortress 2. All his friend had recently. I gotta turn off. Sorry, I'm sorry. I gotta turn off the light and I gotta get in my blanket because I love stories. All his friends had recently moved out of town, and his wife was now working a nighttime job, leading him to take solace in the online TF2 community. Poor woman. At first, he simply buys some TF2 keys, use them to open some items, crates, then dish some of the content out to the players online and keep the good stuff for himself. He enjoyed the social interaction that came with these giveaways, and it seemed worth it for the money he was paying. But soon, Chris discovered his first unusual item, marked with a purple seal. I had this unbeatable rush of adulation and excitement, he says. For someone who didn't get out much, I was at cloud nine. I was on cloud nine, and at that point, things changed. I started chasing that high. Addicted to play. For around 6 months following this discovery, Chris For around 6 months following this discovery, Chris found himself draining his bank account until he didn't have a spare dollar into his name. All of the selection of pixels that would hopefully be wrapped in a purple glow. My savings got wiped out pretty quickly. Although it should be noted that at the time I didn't have much to put away to begin with, he explained. The real trouble wasn't that it cleaned out my bank account, but that it put me in a really delicate situation. With no saving and every dollar not spent on food, shelter, or utility going to digital hat, any unexpected expense became a real big deal. Chris even had a few health scares along the way, and found that he couldn't afford to pay the medical bills because his saving account had been stripped for TF2 money. I got so bad that at one point Steam actually blocked my credit card, thinking I was some sort of account scammer, and I had to open a support ticket to tell them, no, that really is me spending whatever saving I have on this stupid game with fake hats, he says. And like any addicted user, my social element didn't help. Most of my outside of work contact were people I just played TF2 with. At work, I just wanted to be uncrated things. And when I was uncrating things, I wanted to see better results. It was when his out of control spending began to have an effect on his relationship with his wife that Chris finally realized that this needs to stop. I never really been addicted to anything else, so I can't say for certain whether a real addiction would be stronger, he notes. I would say that it felt akin to what I expected a compulsive gambling addiction would feel like. Social pressure reinforced a behavior that kept me searching for an adrenaline rush I never been able to recapture, even as it kept me from making progress in life. There were nights where I had been up until 3 a.m. drinking beer and playing Team Fortress and chasing those silly hats with purple text. Ignoring the gambling fallacy and swearing that if I dropped another $50, I'll be sure to win this time, he adds. Then I wake up the next morning and see that I have not only spent over $100 on digital hats, but failed my only objective by uncrating a bunch of junk. Those were the mornings that felt the worst, when the reality of what Chris was doing hit home the hardest. He felt urgently depressed and worthless, and swore to himself that he wouldn't be back again. And yet, the moment another paycheck came through, it was gone as quickly as it came. Chris' behavior during this time is how people in video game industry would describe a whale. Someone who spent a large amount of free-to-play games and essentially make the business model viable by balancing out the 99% of the player who don't even fork out a dime. And while Chris is happy to admit that a portion of his addiction was no doubt down to his own silly mistakes, he reasons, I have to question whether a business model built on exploiting whale like me isn't somewhat to be blamed. Free-to-play games aren't after everyone for a few dollars. They're after weak people in vulnerable state for hundreds and even thousands. Please tell me there's more. I need more of this. I love stories. Whale in the woodwork. This exact musing is why I recently began tracking down free-to-play whales to hear their stories. Me too! But I didn't spend like you. I found myself questioning just how many free-to-play game developers are building their game around the concept of pulling vulnerable players in, rendering them addicted to some banal yet compelling activity that they feel they must spend large portion of their money on. Candy Crush, Heyday, these games that I'm playing right now. In particular, I ponder whether these whale players are fully consenting to the hundreds and thousands of dollars that they are spending, or whether they are being manipulated and exploited by the underhanded design that purposely aim to make the player feel like they simply have no choice. That is why I began trawling game forums and social media over the last couple of months, asking players how much they spent on free-to-play games and why they choose to do so. Cut. Let me just tell you right now that I have done this fucking same shit, and I have been in from the other side. They have been so aggressive, really aggressive, never compelling, but very aggressive against me, saying fuck off. It's not your business, dude. Mind your own business. I pay my money because it's my money, not your money. I was like, oh damn, man. Slapped you in your face. It was in real life. You know that? But let me tell you something. Whatever he went through, he had to have gone through the same, because if he had a better experience than I have, I'm going to be a little bit pissed. It must be noted at this point that a good portion of the whale correspondence I received was from players who felt that despite spending thousands, they have got their money's worth. To many players, they had simply spent a lot of money because they were having lots of fun and felt that they were happy to throw cash at developers. I would too if I was rocking newbies with no cash. Other players has also told me that they love the free-to-play model, and that if they ever did feel like they were spending too much money on these games, they could easily stop anytime they wanted. False. There are plenty of happy free-to-play customers out there, and the aforementioned story from Chris only makes up a very tiny portion of the tale I received. But it could be argued that to focus on the ratio of exploiting to non-exploited customer is completely missed the point that a business model where even the smallest portion of players can find themselves losing control and essentially ruin their lives is a model that must surely face scrutiny, whether on an industry or a governmental level. Although Team Fortress 2 was brought up by many of my whale responder as a real killer, Valve's team-based shooter was far from the only title named. Kyle described Planet Side 2, that's the game I played, as his danger game, and this is so correct, thanks to the financial situation his obsession with the game put him in. I am in a position where I'm living paycheck to paycheck for a moment as a result of spending beyond incurring overdraft for my rent. For a few months in a row, starting from in January this year and a couple of other scattered time, he says. There was a few times I found that I ran short for food budgets and I had to eat ramen for a week instead of something decent, he had. He says that the feeling of instant gratification allowing him to purchase weapon and cosmetic item with a couple of clicks is what led him to spend in the hundreds. You know, you're getting your stuff right there on the spot, and you can do whatever you want with it right away, he says, adding, I don't think I have ever found myself in a position where I said I really need to have this one thing, even though it will put me over for the rent. It was more of a case of deciding I could ride out the consequences, and that mild amount of hardship might even make me appreciate what I have obtained even more. Kyle doesn't regret his Planet 2 spending. However, I never thought of the item as an investment. Remember what I said in the other video? I mean in the other article. More like disposable entertainment, like a movie ticket or a night at a nice restaurant. Because when it comes to free to play, who knows if the game is going to be around 6 months or a year? And that's so true. He adds, now I think about it a bit. It is almost a way for me personally to feel a bit richer than I really am. I might have an older car and a bit of rundown apartment, but online, I have all this nice swag that lots of people are willing to spend on. It is a nice way to make yourself feel special. Oh. Next, heroes of spending. Battle Hero was another free-to-play game brought up by my journey to find a big spender. Unlike Kyle, John usually regret his free-to-play spending. He was working a part-time job at a time that he became addicted to heroes, and he ended up splashing out the majority of his paycheck on the game, spending over $2,000 in total. I will call it a cream of the crop in terms of pay to win, he says. My research didn't just focus on triple A PC games either. Many of the Nexons, high five, free-to-play title came up numerous times. Glad he didn't went to Ariel's. One player told me that he spent around $3,000 on Maple's story, including dropping a whole $500 in an attempt to create a single weapon in the game. But he says that he's easily one of the lower end players and that he regularly talks to people who have spent upward of $10,000 on the game. It is pretty much for more numbers if I had a gun put onto my head, he says. And he's not done yet. The gear grind is pretty much infinite. And the only reason I have not playing right now is because of the money, but because I am waiting for the level expansion. As we all raise damage cap, which are out in the Korea server, but not the global one. Another player I talked to found themselves spending more than $5,000 on the next game called Mabinogi. I always knew this game. It was talked about in Vindictus. I can't believe I can't spell it now. Mabinogi. Mainly a cosmetic item. There were plenty of times when the rent will go unpaid because I spent the money on the game instead, he says. However, I don't know if I can blame the game for that. If I hadn't spent the money on Mabinogi, I would have spent it on something else. I can't say I really regret the spending, he says. I love the game, and I still miss the friends I play with. 5 or 6 grand isn't too much to pay for the amount of happiness I got out of it. However, he admits that it definitely felt like an addiction. Both buying the points and gambling those points on random drops would give me a rush, he says. I also came across numerous far more outlandish stories. One player, who called himself Ladux, told me that he used to play a web-based MMO called E-Republic, in which player wage war against each other. In a total, Ladust spent more than $30,000 on the game. The genuinely evil part about E-Republic is that you have to spend money in order to neutralize the enemy's money, he says. It is a spreadsheet PvP, though. The social aspect is what kept me in. When he managed to finally kick the habit, a random stranger added him via Skype weeks later, only to discover that it was the creator of E-Republic. He had hunted down Gladys details so he could ask him why he quit and tried to entice him back. Holy shit, man! I never got that, and I know I spent one of the games I did spend $1,000, but that's in the worth of 3 years, 3 to 4 years. I spent $1,000. I never got that. I gotta read this part again. When he managed to finally kick the habit, a random stranger added him in Veron Skype weeks later, only to discover that he was the creator of the E-Republic. He had hunted down and glassed the details to see he could ask him why he had quit and tried to entice him back. By far the worst story I discovered was that of a mother who became addicted to mafia wars. Holy shit, my mother is addicted to Heyday, and I told her to, you see, mama, you see? Like when I called her my mother, I said, you see why I got addicted to World of Warcraft and why I got addicted to these like type of games and stuff like that? Now you know. Now you know what gaming. You know, Heyday did a number on her, but she's now calm with the diamonds and stuff like that. She's happy where she is, and she's not spending any more money and stuff like that. She's doing using it for the better stuff that she's doing, like food, health, and stuff like that. You know. Um, but again, mother who became addicted to Mafia War on Facebook and ended up sinking tens of thousands of dollars into it. As an obsession grew, as her obsession grew, she began to withdraw into the game and care little about life going on around her. This last time I can remember going over, her entire room was filled with just hundreds of pizza boxes and McDonald bags, said an old friend of her son. When you enter the house, the smell just smacks you into the face. Even though she's basically just staging her room, the friend even alleges that as a direct result of a mother's succumbing to a allure of spending more and more on the game, her son ended up dealing drugs simply so he could afford to keep payment up on the house and keep food on the table. I'm sorry, I couldn't read that quite normally because it just hit me. That's fucked up. Wow. Wow. Take a moment. Wow. EX free to play. I also received a message from people who claim to be ex-employees at free-to-play companies and who told me that their respective employee would often build games purposely to entrap these whales. One such respondent in particular, for which I was able to verify the respondent as having worked at the company he named, gave a stark picture of what going on behind the scenes. I have chosen to blank out the name of the company as I seen this as being able to apply to multiple game studios rather than just one discussed. I used to work at company and it paid well and advanced my career, the person told me. But I recognized that company's game cause great harm to people's life. They're designed for addiction. Isn't that integration? They're designed for addiction. Company chooses what to add to their game based on the metric that maximizes players' investment of time and money. Companies game find and exploit their right people and then suck everything they can out of them without giving much in return. It is hard to see the parables to the tobacco. It is not hard to see the parables to the tobacco industry. And to be honest with you, I have explained the fucking same shit in my previous video about companies of browsing. This employee chose to leave the company as a direct result of feeling dishonest due to the work being done, feeling like they were making the lives of a selected few players worse. Wow, I have 4 out of 9. Holy crap. Let me make sure that I am actually okay, so I haven't really fuck this right here because this doesn't come until 12 o'clock. So let's just turn that off. This don't come until 40 minutes, so I can turn it off. I just have to look over here, and it's supposed to be at 8 o'clock, so I'll turn that off. And this is actually AFK, which you stay where you are, but you'll have about 4 hours and 36 minutes. So let's go back in here. The creation of addiction-driven games needs to stop. For the sake of everyone those games takes advantage of, they continued. If companies like that company refuses to change how they conduct business, then the problem will only be solved if they go out of business. While it's unfortunate that people are losing their job, that may be a necessary, painful step in righting the world of one of the harmful aspects of the gaming. I show the stories I have found to the employee who found them upsetting. When people play games, they're entrusting the developer with their time and money, they told me. As developers, we have a responsibility to make sure that we give them something equally valuable in return. The EX employee says that it all came down to one main point. Enabling self-destructive behavior is wrong. It is wrong with the tobacco and gambling industry do it. And it's a shame that the portion of the game industry do it too, they added. Despite this, the former free-to-play employee says that they don't believe government regulation would be as a good way to fix the issue. As a point, some of the mechanics utilized in these games are used elsewhere in more positive way, or regulation could cause collateral damage across the game industry. They added, based on their track record, I certainly don't trust Congress to pass responsible legislation dealing with video games. And yet, the trouble still remains. The free-to-play model has been proven to work best when the games find and exploit whales. I'm sorry, I have to say it like that. Any free-to-play game that marks it virtually impossible to advance beyond a certain point without spending money was almost certainly designed with whales in mind. The employee knows games that allow players to advance to the highest level without spending anything are less exploitative. At least they don't actively encourage addiction. To be honest with you, I felt the only games that I felt like this that it's not exploitative is when I was playing Smite. I pay $30, I get all the heroes, I get all the heroes that comes in the future, great investment, and I get to play all the heroes and stuff like that. And it's not really paying to win because I can beat anybody with any kind of hero, so long as I know how to play the game. Now that my source, that's why I say Smite is wonderful. Now that my source is out of free-to-play space, they're happy to be making games that don't exploit players anymore. I'm now working on the serious games, which have a potential to produce a substantial and positive effect on the world. They tell me, I am sorry for what I've done, but I promise to more than make up for it in the future. Who are you? I want to give you a hug. If it's a male, I'm gonna give you a dap. I'm gonna give you like a fist pump. Free-to-play developer speak. It's clear, then, that while a large portion of the free-to-play consumer are able to take business model into stride, there are also those whose lives are being strained and, in some cases, even ruined by a number of these games. With this in mind, I took a commentary I had found straight to the developers to gauge what exactly is going on and why these people are spending as much as they do. Battlefield Heroes is an instructive example of the developer moving towards an emphasis 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 fuck you on incentivizing players to pay. Man, my fucking English. When Puñeta. When the game originally launched, it was true free-to-play game. Players could jump into the game, sample everything it had to offer, grind a bit to unlock specific element, but generally they get plenty to enjoyment out of it for free. Unfortunately, the amount of money coming in wasn't good enough to keep the game afloat, and so the large-scale price restructuring was developed, as detailed in this article. I'm gonna read you later, and I might put it on YouTube. With this is a place, players were. Oh, okay, I gotta save it up in my right here. I have to make sure. Players were now a lot more restricted in what they could see and do, and have far more grinding to go through to unlock items, unless, of course, they choose to pay real money. Ben Cousin was the senior producer of Battlefield Heroes back at the time when John, whose story is told above, found himself addicted to the game. Cousin now works on free-to-play games for the DNA and is outspoken proponent of the free-to-play model. Upon reading John's story, Cousin remarks that numerous hero players were upset when the price of restructuring occurred within the game. This led to lots of negativity comment on the official forum and stories such as John's. However, causes note that the restructuring led to an influx of revenue. It had the effect of safeguarding of many jobs on the hero's team. Essentially, by forcing players to grind just that little bit more for an item in a game, And by introducing weapons that gave paying players an advantage, the developer team at EA caused an uproar among fans. Yet suddenly in the long-term revenue was assured, as many of these very same players stuck around and submitted to the new pricing regimen. You either submit or you leave. I believe that the responsibility to control spending on any product or server lies with the consumer, unless there is some scientifically proven link to addiction, as in this case with a product and service like alcohol and gambling. Constant tells me. When these links are established, I feel that the industry should self-govern first, and if they fail to act responsibly, be subject to governmental control. Wow, we have 5 out of 9 guys. 5 out of 9 guys. This video must be like 2 hours long, maybe. He add that there is currently no proven link between free-to-play whales and addiction. I would personally like to see wide-range independent studies done before we jump to any conclusion about any negative psychology effect. Which, to be honest with you, he said is not proven, but there has not been major studies about these. Cousin is also keen to stress that the overall negativity response that I receive may well only represent a very small proportion of whales. I said it normally. Wow, congratulate me. When looking at the small sample size, there is always going to be a lack of certainty in extrapolating that data to the large population, he says. I think we see broad proportions of spending user-based reacting as they claim to have in this account. Easier to read read this as a developer having discovered a damaging method of psychological consumer manipulations. When a very, very small proportion of the user base react in this manner, while sad, it is easier to read this as a perhaps individual issue with those people, which may be expressed in any number of negative ways, not just with spending in free-to-play games. I am sure small numbers of these very negative stories could be found for spending on almost any product or service. He clarifies, I am not suggesting either is true, just that we would need to do a broader set of data gathering before I'm comfortably reaching any conclusion. I asked Cousins that what system his team at DENA has in place to reduce the number of players who can potentially be exploited in the free-to-play games. The system we have in place are simple our own moral judgment as a team of game developers. He answers, we regularly reject ideas out of hand because we feel they are potentially exploitative. I suggest other developers do the same, but individual games as are unique and there are no hard and fast rules. An industry source at one major social game company told me that the story I receive are pretty extreme and definitely not the norm. The source noted that the game companies are already subject to a number of regulation, consumer protection law that requires companies to treat players fairly. Citing the stories I received, the source said, we wouldn't want our players to be playing like this because it is just not fun and it is not what the purpose of our game is. Our games are made so that you have a short play section, the source added. Or our games are meant for these long playing sessions where the source referenced the story of a mother playing Mafia War. Those are not what our games are about. The sources said to the company's games section are short, about 10 minutes for some of the most popular games. The company purposely makes game sections short so that the player will connect with others, the sources said. Like most free-to-play businesses, very low percentage of the customer pay any amount of money at all. Like Dirty Mom. I haven't spent a single dime and I having so much fun. Except the hackers. I also got into contact with other free-to-play developers, including those mentioned in the stories I have received. Nexon, North American Director of PR, Mike Crouch appeared to be interested in providing me with answers, but after weeks of correspondence, went quiet on the topic. Meanwhile, Val's dog Lombarding chose not to respond to my multiple requests for comments, even though he did get back to me on an unrelated topic in the meanwhile. Who wants to tell the truth? Come on. You don't want the company to make themselves look bad. And while it at first appeared that Sunny Online Entertainment might talk to me about PlanetSide 2, I was eventually told that the company wasn't interested in responding. And that is so fucking true. For the greater good. Not every free-to-play studio is gunning for whales! While I was conducting my research, World of Tank developer Wargaming Net revealed that Gamma Strut that is changing up is free-to-play strategy, removing all pay-to-win option and making sure that the player cannot pay money to gain an advantage in battle. Good job, World of Tanks. Really? That's awesome. We don't want a nickel a dime our players. Wargaming.net VP of Publisher Andrea Yarantsau, I hope I'm spelling all that right, told us. When want to deliver gaming experience and service that are based on the fair treatment of our players, whether they spend money in game or not. Free-to-play games have a challenge of being sometimes viewed as a low quality, and this is true. And that's why people want buy to play, by the way, which I'll be on the line when buy to play. And we want World of Tanks to serve as a proof that the quality of balanced free-to-play game is possible, he added. I'm about to download that fucking game next. Wargaming.net isn't the only company that feels this way. Hi-Res Studio has released a string of free-to-play titles, including Global Agenda and the more widely acclaimed Tribe Ascendant. Really? I have to check those. Both are notable in that the players are very accepting of these virtual free play the game. You can download the game for free and then play for as long as you want, with no advantage given to those who choose to purchase vanity items and the likes. Hey, I know of a game like that. Actually, I don't. Well, I do. It's might, but people tend to how do you say that? It's not translate. It's not. Okay, I don't know how to say the word right now. I'm in the morning. In the morning, I'll say it. Next morning. Way in the morning. Todd Harris, COO at Hi-Res, tells me that his company free-to-play philosophy is simple. Players interpret it. I knew the word was there. Interpret it. The free-to-play, pay-to-win. Players will remember which game and companies are exploitable, and gradually over time will see a shift away from these money grabbers to the game that treats the players with respect. These players in stories you have related are likely to not play a game from that publisher or developer again, he reasons. Our perspective is a long-term thing. Thinking about the studio brand, I think there is a case where it financially work in the short term for that title. He continues, in our case, our studio brand and positioning indifferent, and we are particularly looking for gamers that expect a fair battlefield. And we want them to know that a future high-res game from past experience that they should get a fair battlefield and not get an explosive feeling. High-res, aren't you Smite? Yeah, High-Res is Smite. That's the one I was talking about. The really good game. It's a mobile game. While you might guess that Hi-Res doesn't make as much money as some of these more exploitive studio, it is notable that around 10% of the Tribe Ascend players choose to pay money, and figure that much larger than 135% that I have heard from a majority of the free-to-play developer. Harris reasons that this is down to trust, a player and players feeling like they are getting their money's worth. I don't have a crystal ball, But our studio thinks that there are enough players that want more of sport like fair game, he says. That's the type of titles that we are developing. Whether the audience of the other type pay for status, whether that is growing or shrinking, studio have to be place their bet. I personally think that is going to go down over time, he adds. Because if you look at the game that are having the most success, League of Legends, Dota 2, as well as our own titles, they are not perceived that way. Not perceived to be paid to win as much. So those games seem to be having more traction. And League of Legends has games. League of Legends. I must say League of Legends. League of Legends and Dota has gaining a lot of money in competition. I asked Harris whether he would advise other free-to-play studios to consider taking the approach that both Hi-Res and Wargaming.net are currently running with. His response was simply, better late than never. They're not going to do it. Harris is also of a view of that government regulation would not be a good idea. In fact, he described it as the last thing gaming needs. By the way, do you notice that? No, he's still telling. Yeah, I'm still telling the story, right? About that person. But game journalists, because my excitement went a little bit down. I was reading the other story, but my excitement went back to normal. Now I'm just reading it for curiosity and purposes of wanting to. But game journalists and reviewers could play a valuable role in reporting how exploitative specific titles are or not, he says. I don't think a game critic's rating of graphic quality or audio quality is all that important anymore. Now that so many gamers are free to play, people can try them for themselves. And even with buy to play, potential buyers can see the graphic and gameplay on YouTube or via live streaming. Twitch. But exploitative mechanics could be harder to detect in a single Let's Play video. So game critics could help a lot in that area, he adds. This is the reason why, like I showed you right there, what happened into the for the MC games, what I showed into the I didn't throw it away, did I? So it was supposed to be here. What bad thing was going on with them, and how people want to return the money back. You can look at those as a warning, and then you can go in game as a free to play and ask more questions. Most of the times, these pay-to-win players and these whales kept saying good things about the game, and later you'll see them fucking going against the game because they didn't like something, and they already tricked me into playing the game. So it takes quite a lot. You have to really jump a bunch of servers, to be honest with you, especially from the server 1. That's the best place to start with if there's their activity. Next, we're almost done. 7 out of 9. Research in the field. Dr. Mark D. Griffith is a psychologist and director in the International Gaming Research Unit in the Psychology Department at Nottingham, I spelled that shit wrong, I know, Trent University. The professor is well known for his research in the field of video game and addiction and gambling. Griffith published a paper last year in which he argued that social games have gambling-like elements, even when there is no money involved whatsoever. Rather, they introduce a principle for gambling through an app purchase. On the first look, games like Farmville may not seem to have much connection to gambling, but the psychology behind such activities is very similar, he argues. Even when the game do not involve money, they introduce players to the principle of incitement of gambling. Companies like Cigna have been accused of leveraging the mechanics of gambling to build their empire. Oh my gosh. Boom, I'm gonna go back. I know I put the video about it. You can check in the video about the first recharge. I think it's the first recharge. You can check about it. But yeah, you really need to check about it. But, oh crap. I need to put this normal. Bing! Let that go through. There you go. What I'm about to show you is this. Let me first check my guild. He was here. I did. I put that all in team. Okay. So here's the thing: is diamonds of roulette. I get another one. Rem attempt. Free attempt today. A rem attempt. So I can't do it unless I spend. Oh, I can, and I get 100 diamonds. Damn. Last time I gained 1,200. Last time I gained 1,200. But yeah, last time I could see diamonds won 1,200. Last time I won was about 1,200, and now I just won 100. And there is no more. And I can only spend it if I for this one I can only spend it if I put the purchase for 3,000 for one chance. And this is basically to get to 8,000. See, there's element to gamble and stuff like that. So I won 1,200. It's like, man, maybe I can win 8,000 or 3,000. And then you'll keep going, and then you lose everything you gained. So again, back to here. Even the game, even when games, oh yeah, like it says, introduce players to the principle of incitement of gambling. I want incitement, I want to gamble more. Companies like Cigna have been accused of leveraging the mechanics of gambling to build their empire. One element that Griffith has found to the particular key is encouraging gambling like behavior in free-to-play game is the act of random reinforcement. That is, the unpredictable of winning over getting other types of intermittent reward. Small unpredictable reward lead to highly engaged and repetitive behavior, he says. In a minority of cases, this may lead into addiction. Griffiths also point to a growth body of search that indicates that players who are represented with a virtual representation of money, virtual currency, will find that spending and gambling with this fake cash is hugely exciting. In those instances, when there is no money changing hands, players are learning the mechanics of gambling, and there are serious questions about whether gambling with virtual money encourages positive attitude towards gambling. On the topic of in-app purchase, Griffin says, the introduction of in-game virtual goods and accessories that players pay real money for was a psychological masterstroke. It becomes more akin to gambling, as social games know that they are spending money as they play with little or no financial return. He continues, the one question I am constantly asked is why people pay real money for virtual items in game like Farmville. As someone who has studied slot machine players for over 25 years, the similarities are striking. Griffith argued that the real difference between pure gambling and games and some free-to-play games is the fact that gambling games allow you to win your money back, adding an extra dimension that can possibly drive revenue even further. This, he says, is why some free-to-play game studios like Zigna are currently moving into the pure gambling market. Everything goes on to reason that the lines between social free-to-play games and gambling is beginning to blur, bringing along with them various moral, ethical, legal, and social issues. The general In another paper published, I'm sorry that I have to jump into games. In another paper published earlier this year with his colleague Michael R. Griffin argues that the most important factor along with individuals' susceptibility and risk factor of the individual gambler are the structured characteristics relating to the speed and frequency of the game rather than the type of game. The general rule is that the higher the event frequency, the more likely is that the gambling activity will cause problem for the individual, particularly if the individual is susceptible and vulnerable. He adds, problem as pathological gambling are essentially about reward, and the speed or frequency of those reward. Almost any game could be designed to either have high event frequency or low event frequencies. As a, as a result, he argues that the more potential reward that are offered to players, the more problematic and addictive an activity can become. Griffith goes on to argue that it would be potentially possible for a safe scenario to be achieved, by which a game is designed such that the player cannot spend money past an enforced structural limit. This will ensure that the player will not be able to develop a gambling problem, regardless of their susceptibility. Griffith is keen to stress that, as of yet, a psychosocial impact of free-to-game games are only just beginning to be investigated by the people of the field of games. Empirically, we know almost nothing about the psychosocial impact of gambling via social networking sites, although research suggested that the playing of the free games among adolescents is one of the risk factors for both the uptake of real gambling and problem gambling. He adds, whatever research is done, we can always be sure that the gaming industry will take 2 steps ahead of both researcher and legislator. Tit for tat. Tit for tat. I'm enjoying the guild. Congratulations. That's a good friend of mine. That's one of the friends I speak mostly. To be honest with you, I speak with him more than I speak with any other 3 games. Tit for tat. Most recently, a pair of analyses of the topic for free-to-play spending coercion, I don't know that word, versus pay-to-play spending, fuck your word, was spread far and wide via social media. Ramen show home. Why you guys gotta put me with these kind of words and kind of names? Stop it. An industry consultant who has written numerous papers of topic of free-to-play monetization detail his research. Okay, I just saved it because I'm gonna read all that fucking shit. I'm interested into how social gaming will trick players into making an app purchase through incomplete information and virtual currency. Part of this method involved providing the player with fun pain, a term coined by Singa Roger Dickey to denote the situation in which a player is put into an uncomfortable position and then offered the chance to remove the pain by spending real money. Holy shit, that's in every MMO. There's also sort of opposite monetization method to this, which Shokri said calls reward removal. A free-to-play game offers the play of huge reward and then subsequently threaten to take away the reward if a player does not fork out cash. To be effective with this technique, you have to tell the player they have earned something, and then later they did not, and later tell them that they did not. He says, the longer you allow the player to have the reward before you take it away, the more powerful its effect. And this is actually something that I found in here. When you first start with the VIP, you have a certain amount of boxes in here that you get to actually spend for gold, and you have to have higher VIP to unlock that box with small amount of gold before it expires. I didn't know it was going to expire. It didn't tell me, or maybe I didn't pay attention. So that's the truth. But Each VIP unlocks something in that box, which I probably made another video to it when I start a new server or previous server so I can show it. So in wings, for example, in the wings, when you go over here, there's this wings which said it was on the fifth box for the fifth day or something like that, and it says that I had to pay a small amount of diamond and it had to be a VIP something in order to gain it. Now I can never gain it unless it comes in the event, and it will probably cost way more than they would have cost in a box. So you gain this and you can open it. No, you cannot open this on the fifth day or sixth day or the seventh day until you pay your VIP or pay this amount. And when that happened, I can't have this, so I won't have this awesome wing for it. And then later, it was taken away. It had expired. Because it had expired, even though I became VIP before, there was no way to regain it. So this is actually an example of this being spoken to. So I'm showing you through games. But the use of virtual currency is where the okay, I think I was here right now. Basharka goes into a step further and argues that when the players see the real world cash in terms of virtual currency, it lowers the sense of anxiety and allows them to be less apprehensive about spending larger amount. Elsewhere, I'm gonna call you Show, details what he calls enter games. Those free-to-play titles that appear to be games based on skills when you first boot them up, but gradually turn into a money game as more experienced players put real money in to beat other players. It's worth reading shows, and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it another time on the topic, which also delves into the progress gates and sell boots. I have two more, and I actually have 7 minutes before I gotta go to the quiz. Chasing whales. Though there is no reference to show pieces in it, Spire Fox Daniel Cook posted a blog a few days later titled Cohesive Pay-to-Play Technique, in which he takes a task many of the argument against free-to-play with a tongue-in-cheek rebuttal of his own. He notes that pay-to-play games invite players to spend large amount of money without ever having played the game first. While some companies purposely use videos, advert, and preview to artificially increase excitement for upcoming and released games. Cook added that these pre-release propaganda means that the developer don't need to worry as much about the actual game design and can simply make the sell by having a catchy theme, pretty graphics, and ability to turn out short sequential game rapidly. He also targets Skinner box game design, the various methods of sales such as a bundle and time limit discount, and other forms of manipulations in free-to-play games. He closed by jokingly suggested that pay-to-play games are hurting the industry and are an immoral practice. Cook of course, is making light of free-to-play argument as a fair bit. Although the overall point of the article is compared just how conclusive the free-to-play model actually is, especially when these worst-case scenarios are compared to the worst-case scenarios for pay-to-play games. Cook's blog is well worth of a read. Other perspective. Williams is a video game designer and producer who has previously worked on SOE, Sonic something Entertainment, I forgot, Sonic Online Entertainment, free-to-play kids game Free Realms as a creative director. She has written at length about strength and weakness of free-to-play model. I sent Williams much of the information I had uncovered while researching this article, and she told me, from a practical perspective, people will always find an activity that attracts them to exclusion of many other activities. She notes that whether we should be encouraged or discouraged, this common human behavior comes down to two main factors. Whether the activity is being included as in considerable value and worthwhile, and whether the activities being excluded as are considered essential. Universal elements like food, sleep, health, hygiene, maintain, and source of income and paying important bills. The first criteria is largely subjective and varies tremendously based on who's doing the evaluation, she noted. Most people will agree that spending money at a casino to the extent that your bill is go unpaid and you get evicted is a behavior we shouldn't encourage. Most people would also agree that playing a game so many hours in a day that you don't sleep or eat and your health is deteriorating is also something we shouldn't encourage, which obviously Night Fable has because it puts you in a way that if you don't play the game and an event comes, boom, you miss that event, you miss a huge amount of power, and done. I went through sleepless nights on Night Fable. Let me just put you that on there. So basically, Bowser Games has these kind of behavior. Oh, I am sorry. I think I need to get something to drink. I haven't even eaten. I am sorry. Hold me a second as I get something to drink right now. Open up, open up, sweet soul of mine. I will treat you tonight or morning or any time. Pure aqua, juicy peach, sparkling water, peach flavor with only natural flavor, 0 calorie and only for 59 cents. Advertisement. Let me just close that up. Oh, peach tastes so much better than white grape. Damn. What was I? Most people will also agree that playing the game so many hours. Okay, okay. Where the conversation gets muddy, McWilliams argue, is when you begin to compare free-to-play spending with traditional retail video game spending. She notes that while we might pull a face at someone spending thousands of dollars on a single free-to-play over a year or so, you cannot argue that. Wait, you could argue that many players who purchase console and PC games may spend just as much over the same period of time. I suspected that if he spent the money on the retail game, he'd have walked away saying, I kept having trouble making rent because I am buying a new game every month. I have to figure out a way to cut back, she says, on one of the stories I collected. He probably wouldn't question too much whether games in general are worth the money from the objective perspective, just about whether he is buying them too frequently, she's continued. There is something in the way he spends money in free-to-play games, though, that made him question on the fundamental level whether his money was well spent. Sure, some of that probably the social perspective right now that free-to-play games in general and virtual goods in particular are not expensive. We value as much expensive for other hobbies, including retail games, but I suspect he might still feel the same way without that social input. However, remember that what I just showed you in VIP 10, that's a lot of money. That's $1,000 in one month. With this in mind, McWilliams believes that there are two fundamental questions that free-to-play developers. I'm sorry. Cut. Quiz. Wait. Return. Shut. Quiz. This will allow me to read the article while paying attention at the quiz, because I'm going to actually go ahead and put my trust. Instead of using the quiz forum, I'm going to put my trust on them and go with them. And I know this jackass right over here, this jackass right here, usually does things on purpose to make people get the wrong answer. So I got to be careful with that guy right there. Should we try with this in mind? McWilliam believes. Okay, I read that part. Should we try to be aware of unhealthy spend pattern in players and find a way to limit and discourage them? Are we providing good value for money spent? And are we and if we are, why doesn't it feel that way to many players? Say McWilliams, even if the percentage of players who fit in the first category is very small when you look at actual data and compare it to the behavior pattern recognized as unhealthy and addiction and gambling, for example, we should be concerned about the fact that public perception, even from our own players, would put fair. I'm about to burn. Okay. No, I don't want to burn that now. Just in air, baby. In air. Would put far more people into the unhealthy spent category because there is a fundamental feeling that any significant amount of money spent in the game is a money that didn't result in a meaningful value. Click on that. To put it simply, if you sat down right now and dropped $60 on Remember Me and the quality of the game was what you expected, you could feel the same about that as if you sat down right now and dropped $60 on Clash of Clans. Clash of Clans, yeah. A lot of people wouldn't, even if they play the game the same length of time, she continued. It is intangibility of virtual goods. Virtual goods? The fact that once you buy Remember Me, it doesn't ask you to spend that same amount again next week, which is so true. Last article. All right, let's see. The International Social Gaming Coalition is a group that was set up early this year with the aim to better educate people about the inner working of social games business. I spoke with the group's CEO, Luc Delaney, regarding my findings. It should note that at this point that the ISGC was set up by Zynga alongside a variety of social casino games company, and it was Zynga representative that suggested I talk to Delaney. I say this not to undermine any of Delaney's points, but rather to give you a full picture when reading his view, and explain why much of the discussion is focused around comparing free-to-play whale spending with whale spending in gambling industry. Lots of the people I have tried to draw the parallel between people spending money in social games and real money gambling. He tells me, however, the motivation of playing a gambling game versus any other game or any other type of entertainment are very different. He notes that the gambling games there is a risk of loss and the opportunity of winning. Therefore, the addiction that the players have to free-to-play games is very different. There is a documented history of people being addicted to video games and other forms of entertainment. He adds, I spend too much money on iTunes and films I've never watched just because I make an impulsive buy. People spend so much money on handbags, on golf clubs, on all kinds of other forms of entertainment, but gambling is very clearly defined as a game where there is a stake, a chance, a win or loss, a win or loss. I asked him about the example of Chris purchasing Team Fortress 2 key in the hope that he would be rewarded with an unusual item, and then continue to purchase keys until he found such an item. Isn't there an element for stake and chances there? I don't see it as the same issue as gambling, he says. Under that scenario, how do you compare it to certain TV shows that are essentially the same thing? People text into playing along with the game, trying to find the money in the box, yet that's not a regulated gambling service. As associated with the judged that to be. See what I'm talking about? Fucking asshole. People text in. I missed my proof. I don't see it as the same issue as gambling, he answered. Under that scenario, how do you compare it to certain TV shows that are essentially the same thing? People text in to play along with the game, trying to find out. See, that could be correct. See, I should have moved. God damn it. See, because he's trolled so much, I should have followed Asap, I guess. But he's trolled so much. I'll follow Asta. He might have a better chance. Okay. I don't see it as a gambling issue. As gambling, he answered. In that scenario, how do you compare it to certain TV shows that are essentially the same thing? People text into playing along with the game, trying to find out the money in the box. Yet, that is not the regular gambling service. As society, we have judged that to be the motivation of payout that created a certain risk among players. Therefore, we've decided that this level of regulation is necessary. Delaney is keen to stress that the social games are already heavily regulated. There are consumer rights, Data Protection Act, Unfair Commercial Practice Directive, and more. And he questions, is there proof as this form of entertainment is more harmful or addictive than other form of entertainment? At this point, I question how harmful or addictive a free-to-play game would have to be before we, as an industry, should have take it seriously. I don't have an answer for that, answered Delaney. If you look at the stories about people being addicted to the things, whatever is the latest form of entertainment gets hit with that badge. It is 90s is what games consoles. It is the 80s is what was televisions. Before then it was radio. Radio was going to destroy the culture, etc. So it is not a new discussion that people scrutinize new form of entertainment. It is a healthy part of society. However, he adds, there is no evidence to suggest that this particularly dangerous form of entertainment, as opposed to any other form of entertainment that people spend money on. We know that people spend too much money on is all form of entertainment. So I guess what she was saying at one point is that she doesn't try to discredit what he say because he's with the company. It's almost like the same thing in here. I'll show you in a second. The eighth wall. Fuck. Am I too late? Yeah. The eighth. I have this thing on my mouth. Serious Nation. I'm gonna go here with this guy. It's the same thing if I wanted to talk about the forum and I go to one of the admins or one of the GMs. If I talk about a certain issue pertaining, and I could be right on that issue, they'll find a way to turn the issue around and talk about it in a way that shows that, hey, you're wrong, or we have this argument against your argument. So it's just a protective. So this person is basically part of the Sengi who is pretty much making players feel like this in the first place. But the article of the person says, I'm not trying to make this less discredited to what he's actually saying, but for us people and the viewer to understand the full picture basically, instead of the small picture. The road ahead. There's a lot to take in here, and clearly my delving into the underbelly of a free-to-play is just a tip of the iceberg, which way that the science appears to point. And hell, it's a lot more research is needed to be truly paint the full picture of what is going on behind the scenes. It is clear that no one's idea of good steps forward is to... Oh my gosh, I'm about to burp. Sorry. I try to make it as less noisy as it is. It is clear that no one's idea of good step forward into the government body's involvement in the process, regardless of whether... I trust you. Regarding whether it would be benefit for free-to-play players or not. As part of the due diligence for this article, I did get in touch with both the Federal Trade Commission and the UK Office of Fair Trading to assess their view. I don't expect to hear back from them for a while, given the volume of correspondence they no doubt received, but I plan to relay any responses to do receive. In the meantime, it would seem foolish to let the topic lie. especially while the conversation is well and truly flowing. While research into the potential psychological element of free-to-play game design continues, it is my hope to free-to-play studio will at least take a hard look at the current design manifesto festivals being carted around and consider how they may be affecting the lives of their players. Good article, good article, good article. I haven't even finished by reading some of the other things that have been put in here, but that was such a good article. Love it. And it's finished. No other event will come until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. He left the guild, so I don't want him. He got into the guild and then left the guild for no reason. In fact, he left the group, one of the group that he was in, and I did not appreciate that. You know, because then we missed a lot. We almost missed everything, but we missed a lot if he for him leaving like that. So anyway, so in terms, I hope you guys enjoyed that and the knowledge of that. Wow, man, I went pretty hard on that, and I didn't get to do many other things I had to do in here. Yep, I actually didn't. Got a quiz offer right here for 300 devotion. Gotta get up to 700 devotions. Check what it's changed. I have to also get to 200, at least 200 million today. And in how many days? 23 days. I have one more day. So I gotta get it today and tomorrow between the 23 of 59, which basically is about to be going to the 24th day. And then I have ASP already level 60, so I've got to get new gears for that. And I have to do the quiz. I have to do this. I have to see the daily task. It's not going to come up until 12. Not this. It's not important actually. Yeah, it's not important because I did send my I did. Yes, I did send my my dragon and asked to help me protect my dragon. I don't have to come back until 2 o'clock. The 20 here. 2. So 2 o'clock here. 2 o'clock here. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. 12:30 on or 1 o'clock I think. 1:30. 12 o'clock. 1:30 on Empire. And in here, I have a comment in 3 hours and 42, and I have not even finished remotely everything that I have to do. And I am out of mana potions, so I need to actually buy at least one set of mana potions for that. See, I've been actually making the video there. I have to put everything calculated. I'll probably write everything down as well, just in case, because I need to go eat. I'm either going to eat right now. I'm just going to run to the Chinese food and get me some of that orange chicken. Yes, some of the good orange chicken. I am addicted to orange chicken. So good. And let me look at my zodiac. My zodiac 100, 669. I should be able to light it up. Yes, I did light it up. I can dodge. And the other one's going to gain 433 star action. That's no problem. Requires about 705 spirit, which I don't have, and about 181 gold. And I'm pretty sure I can actually go here with the stamina that I have. Why did you stop? Don't ever stop AFK me when I tell you not to stop AFK. Now, I probably can reset this one more time for 300 diamond, which every day I get like 70 something diamonds. And I did a financial plan, so I get like 100 every day until this days are done, and then I have no more diamonds, and I'll have to see if they're ever make an event. They have an event on the forum, but it's basically for free, like for the old players, you know, not for free player, for the old ass players to get. And you know what? I'll give an example, because I gotta make the video. I gotta end the video very soon. Right now, I have a lot of editing to do. Well, I'm not going to edit a lot. I'm just going to edit one part there, which was my information was given a lot. Everything else is for you to laugh about. You can laugh at me of my spellings and the burping and all that stuff. And there's someone over here. I'm mumbling a lot. Mumbling a lot. Come on. I shoot you if you don't go through. That's right. It's just for this forum too. It's just for this forum. I click on anything else and it'll pop up in a second. I swear to goodness. The avatar. So as you see, these are things right here saying that the avatar is Mina, Reindeer, Bloodline, Princess. I probably can go for this one. Doubt it. But most of these guys are saying that Mina is one of the avatars from the Mixed King and the White Wolf King team dungeon. They are part of the first and third team dungeon reward. Reindeer prize avatar shop and solo dungeon. One time all S rank rewarded double entry treasure card event running so players can use gold and avatar melt to get the card. First of all, you got to get the gold if you ever can get the gold. Second of all, you have to have diamonds because you have to get some re-attempts for it, which can cost you to 200 to 300 diamonds. And at the same time, the level for this, there was a guide for this. You know, I don't know if you actually went ahead and pay attention pretty closer to it, but when you go to one class of avatar, and you go to the beginner's guide, and then you go to guide of avatar and elements, because I'm reading the whole thing in the forum. When you go here, come on, and let's say that reindeer, right? Reindeer for leveling. Reindeer is blue, right? Yeah, the reindeer is blue. Yeah, right? Right? It's 4-star. It's a reindeer right there. You go you get one entry in the S rank, and then it's 3, which I have it, of 3, and it's a 3-star. 3-star here. You gotta get it to level 12. Level 12. It gets to 100. And you don't get okay. You get 100. You get 100 of these. One level. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which is about 1,270. So you can get 10,000 diamonds, and the chances of this being done by the 25th, which is about 3 days, the chances of you getting that amount for the reindeer is not possible for new players, and for me. It's basically great for all players, like the old S1 who already got it up there, and all they have to do is show their screenshot, and they'll be getting 10,000 diamonds. So it's not really a fair event. Like they think it's fair. Like he said, it's he said the example of how to get it, but the one on top it says too hard for free to play. Get it right. It's actually too hard for free to play players to get it. Okay, it's not telling you that that it's not like impossible to get it. It's not. He didn't say impossible. I think it's kind of impossible, but he didn't say impossible. He said it's extremely hard, and that's only for Mina. For everything else below that, impossible to get. So this is what I hate about some of the mods in the game, because they do not understand the difference between hard and impossibility. You know, I know you have to defend your forum and stuff like that, but be very rational. When it says too hard, they mean it. It is too hard. Do not try to throw another reason, and you know. That's why I really hate. That's why I say I'm professional on the bottom of my thing, and why I don't like to comment in the bottom. I would have commented, but I don't like to. I'm not even going to get into it for it. But that's what it is, and that's it. It's going to be the video. This was about Whaleeess, about VIP 8 for you people to understand what's going through their mind, what's going through it, and to be honest with you, I already had my certain things that I wrote about VIP 8, but this video will show you particularly and specifically about them, and there's many more. Trust me, there's many more reasons. There's many more articles with that. You can read it up and you can understand it, because if you want to understand why they actually spend some of this money, it shows you right there: status, empowerment, not trying to let the other guy try to beat him and stuff like that, training for fun, having the, like I said, empowerment to feel good about stuff, very, very powerful and all that stuff, validation through live and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons, but you cannot really tell the reason for it, but you can understand them through it, you know. And that's everything for this video. Holy crap, this thing was about what 2 to 3 hours.